Welcome to the Contrarian Capitalist podcast. I'm delighted to be joined today by Daniela Cambone. Daniela, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Robert. Delighted to be here. And thank you for the beautiful pronunciation of my name.
I've done a bit of Italian in school, so
Yes, I was
I've
gonna say. I was gonna say people normally butcher it, but you beautiful. Thank you.
well, thank you very much. I thank you for the compliment. Plenty to talk about today, as per usual, but I'm always very happy to get a guest on that is a podcast host as well. And of course, you have been doing this for many years, and you've spoken to a plethora of people. So I just want to start off by saying thank you for the work that you do, because I enjoy watching your work because it helps me to become a better person at what I do. So I just want to say a massive thank you for everything that you do in this industry.
Thank you. Truly, truly appreciate that, Robert.
That being said, of course, I understand it's also sometimes very interesting to be the other side of a microphone.
Yes. Yes. It's so funny. People always say, "Do you like being interviewed?" And I always tell people I find it such an awkward process because I've been interviewing people for so long, that I do find it a bit jarring or upsetting to be on the other side. But I love it. I love it. So thank you for your interest in my work and what I've been doing.
You're in safe hands here, so nothing to worry about. There won't be any, awkward questions. But I
Not
will
gonna pull
start
out
by,
like, here's your high school yearbook and let's go.
yeah, I'm not,
None
I'm
of
not
that.
that bad. Don't worry.
Right.
I will start by date stamping. There is a lot going on, of course, in gold and silver. We will start there, and then we'll go on to overall journalism within the industry, because I know that's something you're very passionate about as well. It is Thursday, the 9th of October. I appreciate that some of the prices that we talk about today might be wildly different by the time this video comes out. We're at $4,000 gold, we're at 50, even $51 silver, I think, when we're recording. But this has been coming for a long time, hasn't it, for people that have been paying attention?
I take a deep breath and I feel that everyone who's been in the gold camp can feel that heaviness. I was actually just talking about this I have a group chat with Alex from Gold Telegraph and Frank Justra, and we just took a moment when gold hit 4,000 because it's been such a long road, but so worth it. And I had many people emailing me yesterday, reaching out saying, thank you for the advice throughout the years. And again, I'm not a financial advisor, but they've been watching the show and maybe they moved their cash from the bank into gold or into silver. And they're so grateful that they did. So I'm happy that this moment has come. I also am in agreement with Jim Rickards, who says now the path to 5,000 accelerates. It all of a sudden everything accelerates. It's not going to take as long. I 1,000% agree with that. I think we're just at the beginning of what gold can do and the gold run, and I truly believe people are finally waking up to it. So that 4,000 day was really a big day and meant so much to so many of us who have been patient and knowing that gold would go to work for us, and it has.
I always like to go through I always like to get people to explain the fundamentals, because although most of them are the same, sometimes people do come up with different ones. So again, just for people that might not be aware of the fundamentals, what fundamentals do we have at play, and why are those fundamentals likely to continue moving forward?
Right. So we know the main driving force of this gold price has been central bank buying. We have seen central banks dumping US treasuries, or maybe I shouldn't use the word dumping, but putting aside US treasuries and buying gold. They own more gold now than they do US treasuries. What does that tell us? They have more faith in gold and not US based assets. And I always say, if you want to know what's happening, do what the central or have the best insights, follow what the central banks are doing. So they are hoarding up on gold, and players like Poland. I mean, I was looking at the numbers yesterday. Look how much gold Poland has bought. Now, I think that's a mix of no longer having faith in, like I said, US based assets, and also the fear of war. They're preparing for something ahead. So it's, it's kind of like we're happy that gold's at this price. But like Frank Justra had told me back in 2018, he had said, we're going to get to a world of $5,000 gold, but it doesn't mean it's a world you necessarily want to live in. So it kind of comes with that component of it, right? That we have to not forget. So central bank buying, to answer your question, has been the main driver of this gold rally. What I also think we're seeing now is not just central banks, but high net worth investors, clients of banks saying, hey, I want out of these US based assets. I want out of, the 10-year or the dollar, and are allocating to gold. And then, of course, we have the geopolitical tension. So there is still this constant fear, despite the peace agreement that we saw signed earlier today. But I don't think that's going to stop gold from accelerating here. So those are the main fundamentals. And of course, we have Chinese demand and Indian demand and the physical jewelry demand. But if you have to ask me what is the main driver of this market, it's central bank buying.
Do what the central banks do, not what they say, so to speak.
Exactly. They are definitely misleading. And I have said that in past podcasts. Don't listen to what they say, but just follow what they do. And if I could share this personal story, I had tweeted about this recently. I thought people would get a kick out of it. So I actually, when I was based in Rome, working in Rome, at one point I was working for the European Parliament. So I was part of the system. And I thought I had hit my dream job. Like I wanted to work for the EU. I thought, oh, I've made it to the Mecca. Until you are part of the system and just realize, well, this is just bureaucratic and nothing's ever going to change. And why would I want to be part of this? But along my journey, I did meet a woman who had a major position at the Central Bank of Italy. And I was like, I don't know, 25 at the time. And she said to me, she gave me two pieces of advice. The first one she said she takes half her salary and puts it in gold. And she's like, if you can do that. And of course, I didn't even know what gold was priced at the time. I only learned about gold when I started at Kitco at 08. But she said, just trust me. You're going to want to take whatever you can out of your salary and move it into gold. And like I said, maybe she was a soothsayer or a messenger to me at that time. I was not in gold, but it was only until I got to Kitco and understood the market that I thought, now I understand what she's been trying to tell me. Don't trust fiat currency. You better park your money in something that will hold value. And here we are today.
I think going back to the first point that you made, and there's a lot of course, euphoria. It's a $4,000 gold. That's a very key price point. Obviously, 5,000 is going to be next, as you've alluded to as well. But yeah, going back to the point of that doesn't mean that the world we're going to live in when that happens is a very nice place to be at all. So I don't want to say to people out there, be careful what you wish for, but let's be realistic. We'll get onto journalism a little bit later on. But you need to be careful what you wish for. And I know that Jim Rickards has also mentioned five-figure dollar gold quite a lot. I'm not going to ask you for a price target, but again, from your experience in what you do you think that five-figure gold is a realistic aim given everything that's going on?
$5,000 gold.
Five figure, so like $10,000,
Oh,
$20,000. Do you
sorry,
think do
sorry.
you think that is
Um,
possible?
do you know what? Yeah, I don't rule out anything. I really don't. I mean, I remember, like, again, when I started at Kitco, gold was at 800, and talk of $1,000 gold. People thought that was ridiculous. Talk of $5,000 gold, you're nuts. You're like tinfoil hat, never gonna happen. So today, 10,000 might seem like, what? Shocker. I mean, it might take 10 years. I don't know. But if you told me gold would hit $10,000, no, I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. But again, like, I think it also goes back to the mentality of why I own gold. So I'm not trading gold, right? I'm not in and out of gold. I buy gold and I pray and I hope I never have to sell my gold. I buy gold with the hopes that it will just go to my children one day and it's building generational wealth for them. So I'm not losing sleep over the product. Is it? Yeah, it's great. Obviously, the value of the portfolio has gone up at 4,000. It'd be great if it's at 10,000. Um, but I'm not chasing that price, right?
Mhm.
But to specifically answer your question, would I be shocked? No, not at all. Again, what would just that mean about the value of the dollar or any, of all fiat currencies? Well, it mean it'd be all in the trash, basically.
Yeah, it really would. And you beat me to two questions that I had in my head there. Number one was exit strategies. So again, I know there's a lot of euphoria, and I know that having that
Right.
plan in place is important. So you've answered that question with what you've just said, so that's fine. But secondly, if we put things into layman's terms, and yes, central bank buying, as you've mentioned, but also you just mentioned the other key thing, which is, of course, the dollar itself. So the price of gold, is the price of gold going up, or is it actually the value of that fiat currency, in this case, dollars, going down? I mean, if we want to put it very simply, if you think the dollar's going to go down and it's in a structural bear market, as per what Luke Roman's been saying for a while, then of course that price is going to go up because they're correlated in that way. Maybe that's such a too simplistic view, but have you got any thoughts on that too?
Well, I think look at the purchasing power, right? That's what it comes down to. What were you able to buy in, the 1970s with $5 versus today? You can't even get a Coke. So where are we going to be 10 years from now? So it's about the value of your money. What are you able to buy? And gold holds its intrinsic value. And that's what I try. If I can simplify it for people, the money in your bank is just dying because you're not going to be able to buy anything with that. It means nothing. Whereas in gold, it holds its value. Um, and the other aspect to it is this administration has been clear. They've told you their game plan. They want a lower dollar. They want
Mhm.
the US dollar heading lower. So yeah, you can make the argument, and I hear the pushback. Well, the dollar's still strong. Yeah, okay, I get the dollar's still strong compared to, the peso, and you'd want to own dollars if you are in Mexico. I get that, and I just had Matthew Piepenberg who made that argument as well. But it's what's the saying? It's the best house on an awful block, basically,
Mhm.
right? So I just think that you're gonna just be able to buy less and less with whatever money you're coming home with. So personally, I prefer holding that in gold than where in the bank where my money is basically just dying. But they're not going to
Yes.
teach you that. Well, they're not going to tell you that on CNBC.
No, no, and it's the joy of again doing these shows and
Yeah,
having
except for
and
today,
speaking like
where
this.
it's funny. I was laughing with my husband, who also works in gold, um, because it's been like 2 days of back-to-back coverage of gold on CNBC, and I'm like, what is happening? Like, there hasn't been this much coverage on gold. I mean, since I've been covering it. So, I mean, Jim Cramer just did a whole 20-minute segment on gold. It's unheard of. Um,
Oh dear.
yeah, I'm not sure if that's a sign of a top, but I kid. But um, we don't want mainstream media to catch on here.
No, I think yes, with all due respect to Jim Cramer, if he's talking about it, that could signal a top. That brings me on to the next point, which is again, there's a lot of euphoria, and I know we've only spoken about gold. Silver again over $50, nominal high from 1980s, been pretty much taken out. Inflation adjusted high is circa $210, so it's still got a lot of room to run. I know nothing goes up in a straight line. I'm aware of that, and I know you're aware of that as well. Is it a reason at the moment to, jump on the bandwagon and enjoy these fun times, or do we need to go in with some caution that these are significant psychological barriers? There could be a pullback. Again, just after your thoughts and opinions on what you think is likely.
So, look, I've been reached by, some girlfriends of mine I went to high school with, and they're like, "Oh my God, should I get into gold? What do I do?" And I said, "Well, I told you this like 10 years ago, but yes, if you want to, and so their question to me is, Well, what happens if it goes down? Was it going to go down? If is it too high to buy silver here? Is it too high to buy gold here? I mean, I was asked, is it too high to buy gold at 2000? So my answer is, of course, I can't promise you it's just going to keep going up. I don't know. Could there be a pullback in gold? Sure. Could there be a pullback in silver? Of course. But it goes back to my premise of why are you owning it? So personally, I prefer gold over than silver. I get why people buy silver, and I understand it's much more accessible. But going back to why I own gold, I'm not trading gold. I am plan to hold gold for a very long time. So whether it goes down 100, $200, whether it goes down $1,000, I'm not tracking that price because long term gold is working in my favor and I'm better off being in gold than being in cash. So that's all I can say is yes, can you expect a pullback for sure? If you want to get in and out of gold, don't own physical gold. Look at other instruments, look at mining stocks, look at the ETFs. If you want to trade an in and out, then physical gold is not your play, right?
Mhm.
Um, and silver, I mean, yeah, we're at a silver, I'd be much more, look, silver is way more volatile than gold. So could you have a massive correction in silver? Absolutely. So you have to understand the trajectory of silver. I don't know if I'd be piling into silver at $50. Maybe it will go to $100, like Keith Newmeyer's been saying. Maybe I would play silver more as there's more speculation in silver. But with gold, you know, you don't have to buy an ounce of gold if you can't afford the price tag now, which I understand, but you can buy a little bit of physical gold and forget about it and just forget about it. Put it there, go to sleep, don't track the price. I don't lose sleep over owning gold, is what I tell people.
I think most people listening to this would agree with that, and it's important to
Oh,
make that distinction as well between
yeah.
buy and hold and having a plan. Because if you're trying to trade it, different story. If you're just thinking very long term, not a problem. So thank you for making that distinction.
I mean, that's the only way, that's how I view it. And I've been transparent. I own Bitcoin. I love when the people are like, oh, you hate I don't hate Bitcoin. I don't, obviously, I understand gold. I am one with gold. And that's why I don't lose sleep over gold because I know gold will be in my favor at the end of the day.
Mhm.
Bitcoin I own, but for me, it's a speculative asset, but it's money that I can afford to lose. The money that I have in gold, again, is what I'm looking to build wealth with and transfer to my children. So I own these things for very, diverse reasons. So again, I'm not a financial advisor, but what I tell my friends, if they call me, I say, if you're asking me advice of why you want to buy physical gold, you're not buying it to trade it. Just buy it, forget about it. And one day you're going to be like, thanks, Daniela,
Mhm.
like the calls I got yesterday. But it's not going to be a short-term trip.
No, absolutely. I think you've hit the nail on the head there. And again, thank you for explaining that. And I think that's a good segue to journalism in general and journalism within this industry. And we were speaking off air. I know you're very passionate about this. And I'm just going to ask you a question. I'm going to sit back for 10, 15, 20 minutes. You say what you want. I'm not going to call people out and say there's dodgy people out there. I don't, I'm an up and growing channel as well. My point being is from, again, your years of experience in doing this, there are some things out there that you were saying to me off air that concern you. So, Daniela, the floor is all yours. What do people need to be
Thank you for
cautious
that.
about moving
So,
forward?
and I could just hear my husband's voice now because he's always like, calm down, sweetie, because he knows when I get passionate about a topic. So if you really want to ask me about journalism. And, I am, I guess, an OG because I actually went to journalism school, J school, as we call it. I hold a degree in journalism. I hold a master's in journalism. I worked in newsrooms from the ground up, covering politics and then later finance, chasing people, chasing down scoops, calling various sources, working to intense deadlines. I did the work of a journalist. And I think that term is so loosely used now. everyone's a journalist. Like someone who just has a podcast, I'm an economic journalist. It's like, what, how, it's like if I called myself a doctor, yeah, I'm a doctor. It's like, what legwork did you do to use that term as your profession? Because you have a podcast? Well, you're a podcaster. You're an influencer. You want to say you have a popular channel? Great. But this term journalist is so loosely tossed around. And frankly, yeah, it bothers me. It bothers me just like it bothers my other true journalist colleagues that have done the work to merit using that title. And unfortunately, in our space, I mean, I was, I don't know, probably one of two that started covering gold on video in 2008. And I said this story that when I started Kitco News, no one wanted to talk to me, and I had to start from the ground up. So people see Kitco News today and don't realize the road it took to build that success. And obviously, there's so many copycats out there now, and everyone's covering this space, but people are relying on artificial intelligence. They write their scripts, they write their headlines. It's like we're chasing clickbait. We're not doing the work anymore because it's all about views. And I remember when I started, maybe it would take me 3 months to build. I remember once I did this whole thing on blood gold, and it took me like months to um to do this. It was almost like a documentary, and I loved working on it. But in this day and age, you don't have that possibility anymore because people just want, constant content pushed out, and they just want the views. So we sensationalize a lot of it. So I think my warning to viewers, and I'm grateful for the viewers tuning into my show, but there is a lot of garbage out there and misinformation, especially when it comes to our space. So just be careful who you buy your gold from, or precious metals. Of course, I work for ITM and they're a great company. And obviously that's where I recommend. Phenomenal people, tell them I sent you. They'll take great care of you. If I could get that plug in, but I truly mean that. It's a wonderful company, established, and if it's not ITM, do your homework and just be careful who you're doing, who you're buying from, and just be careful who you're watching, and know the source of that, and question, are they really a journalist or some person who was just like, hey, I'm going to jump on the YouTube bandwagon. So that's my 2 cents on journalism. I think it's in a very sorry state. And I don't know how we get back on the other side of getting to real journalism again. I don't. And it really saddens me because we're so far gone and lost. Um, so all I can do is do what I can in my little world. But yeah, true journalists out there, few and far between.
Do you think in like I say the modern day era, let's just say the last 5 or 6 years, do you think a lot of it, and you've alluded to this as well, just comes down to trust? That because of various things, maybe in the last 5 or 6 years, people are starting to lose that trust, and therefore it's more difficult now to distinguish what might be right and what might be wrong, and therefore that's why we've got this myriad of influencers, etc., as we have today.
I I think COVID was obviously a game changer. Okay. And that's where we saw the separation between mainstream media and YouTubers. And that's not a bad thing. That wasn't a negative that came out of it. I actually encourage people challenging the mainstream narrative because there was so much mistrust, and rightfully so, in what the mainstream media was telling us. So on the flip side, there are good shows like mine and others, right, that are the anti-narrative to the CNBCs. We're going to show you other information that you're not going to get on CNBC. So that side I applaud, right? I think there's good in that. I'm just saying there's a lot of wannabes and
Hmm.
bad podcasters out there. So just be careful where you're getting your information from.
And just going back onto the theme of trust, and I know this from speaking to people back in the UK as well. You reference ITM and we talk about bullion dealers and so forth, that it's very easy to, pardon the phrase, get your pants pulled down if you have no knowledge and you are not sure. So again, that trust element, especially in the bullion space, is incredibly important. And I think that just takes, time, knowledge, and understanding. Is that right?
It does. Like maybe some of your friends have bought, in your circle, or look at how long have they been around. Look at, reviews. Ask people who have bought from them. I mean, I've been obviously, Kitco's I worked there 12 years. I can vouch that they are, a great bullion dealer, valid, trusted bullion dealer. I work at ITM. My husband works at ITM, and I could say 100% this is a fantastic company that actually cares about its clients. So, those are two companies I can personally vouch for. And again, there's good dealers and there's bad dealers, and just do your homework and ask around, ask an expert. Yeah, there's ways to find out. It just takes a little legwork.
Well, nothing in life comes easy. We've got to put graft
Right,
and work into this. So
right.
it's again, I think it's a sentiment people would agree with. Uh, Daniela, on that note, just going back to, if I can, again, digging into your experience and the amount of people that you've interviewed is phenomenal. If you had to, and apologies to put you on the spot with this, I said I wouldn't do it, but I'm going
Oh
to do it.
no.
I think I'm going to do it anyway. If you had to take a couple of like really key lessons that you have been not necessarily taught, but when you've been speaking to people, they have, given to you. If you just had to think of a couple that stick out, what would you go for and why?
Well, there have been people who I've interviewed who have become now very close personal friends and mentors. And one thing I've noticed amongst the top tier, the billionaires, is they're not people of many words, not on an interview. I'm talking like email or text, but
Mhm.
they're also decisive in such an instant moment. And that has been a big lesson for me, because that's something I had struggled with, was, when I'm making decisions or contemplated. And once I think on my recent trip with Frank Justra, who's obviously a great mentor and friend to me, and has been a huge supporter of mine, and I love him dearly. um, I said, how do you make those big decisions, take those big chances? And he says, once you cross the Rubicon, you just don't look back. And that stuck with me. And because he taught me so much about like not living with regret, you just have to move forward. You just do not look back. And
Mhm.
that's been a lesson that has changed and shaped my life. So now when I'm, making decisions, whether it's like, do you want sugar in your coffee? It's like, no, yes, you got to be quick, and you just stick to it, stick to your gut. Um, and I think the other most valuable lesson when it comes to investing is having patience, but it's something I had to practice, because I remember when I started, I think I was chasing rhodium at the time. Everyone was on this rhodium bandwagon. I don't remember. I think because I'd had hit 10,000 or something. And I was like, oh, I'm going to make all this money in rhodium. And I got in, and then I got out too early, but I didn't know patience at the time. And gold has taught me to be patient. And gold has taught me to know about everything that's going on in the world. So when I say we're covering gold, we're so lucky to cover gold, because you're not just covering gold, you're covering what's happening around the world, because it impacts everything. So it forces you to have a global view. So yeah, patience is the other great lesson I've had. Is you need to have a lot of patience in this game, in life.
Absolutely. I will. I'll plug my own work. I've just done a deep dive on rodeo myself. I will link to that in this
I'm
post.
not in rhodium right now, but then I think
Oh,
it hit like 20 or I stopped tracking rhodium, but I don't remember what its all-time high was, but see, had I stuck it out, because I think it hit 20 or 30,000 an ounce, something insane,
About
right?
30,000. Yeah, from what I done,
Right?
it's about
So could you imagine
30,000.
had I practiced patience, not panicked, understood it better, understood the fundamentals, done the homework, who knows what that rhodium investment would have done for me.
I
So
was, yeah, just look forward. He's one of those things. But I mean, self-plug, shameless self-plug. I'll link to that. I'll link to that post anyway. Um, Valuable lessons there, and I think that the other thing that I found, again, trying to follow in your footsteps here, is the amount of people that you're able to speak to. Like you said, it's not just gold because that then influences X, Y, and Z. It's been a blessing to be able to just book in with you, people like yourself. Just book in. I can ask some questions. I get told off for waffling too much, but I like, ask questions, and I can just sit back and listen and just make all these mental notes, and you just learn so much from so many other people in order to be able to do this. I think it's fascinating.
it is, and I do consider myself fortunate and a blessing to have access to a lot of these people. But it's been a long time coming. I started in journalism when I was, I don't know, it's over 20 years now, but I started at Kitco in '08. So these are relationships that I've nurtured and built. I mean, it's over 2 decades worth of a Rolodex of sources. So the people who have come on, I've repeatedly interviewed, they trust me. And I trust them that I know that they're going to deliver and give knowledge to the viewers, because I just don't want to book anyone and waste people's time. So I'm thankful that they come on the show, and like I said, that they trust me to lead the interview. And all I can do is kind of act like a captain, and my goal is to let them shine the most they can and get out of the way. So, it's not about me, it's not about my opinions. That's not why people are tuning in. They want to tune in because I'm interviewing the expert, but it's my job to get the best out of them. And that's what I try and do.
You've hit the key word again, trust. And trust in this space is of paramount importance, whether you're listening to people or, again, we're talking going back to bullion dealers. That five-letter word, I just double checked it's 5 letters. That five-letter word is arguably the most crucial word in this particular industry. That's what I think. Do you agree with that sentiment?
Yeah, it always comes down to trust, but in all relationships of your life, you want to trust
Mm.
your friends, you want to trust your spouse, you want to trust the teachers of your kids. Um, you want to have trust in people, but unfortunately, our trust is tested daily. Um, I think the other important thing to mention is a lesson is that um, people who want to chase mining stocks, people are always like, where should I invest in the miners? And again, people just chase or listen to tickers that people might say at a conference walking by, but you have to do your homework. So, I'm on the board of Aris. Obviously, I love Aris as a company. Again, I look at the management, look at the board, do your homework when it comes to the miners. Just don't throw your money in blindly. Look at the track record of the CEO. So it all comes down to, yeah, trust, quality of people, track record. Yep.
Pretty
It's
much a perfect place to wrap up, I would say. Before we do that, obviously we've spoken, or you've spoken a lot today. Gold,
Mhm.
mentors, life lessons, journalism. Is there anything we haven't touched upon that you would like to leave with the audience before we wrap up?
I think, you know, let's just go back to being kind to one another and just having some basic humanity. And I try and practice that, whether it's in small things like saying hello when someone enters the elevator, or saying thank you to the person who's, at the register. I think we forgot like the basics of being humans and humanity and being nice with one another. Um, I don't know. I just think we're living in such sad times that you don't even know the impact that hello or asking someone how they are might have on someone.
Mm.
So, yeah, I think we just need to go back to practice being kindness. And money's great. Yes, we all want to make money. It's financial freedom, but it's really human relationships above all. your health above all. And that's really what it comes down to at the end of the day. No one's going to remember how much gold I owned or the podcasts I did, but might remember if I was kind to them or not. And that's what matters most to me.
Well, very, very good point, and thank you for sharing that with the audience. I know you've mentioned, well, we've mentioned ITM trading and so forth. I always like to give people the opportunity to say, how can people connect with you and find out about your work? I will link to this in YouTube and on Substack. Daniela,
Yeah,
how
for
can
sure.
people find out?
Um, I wish I had the QR code here, but you can go to itemtrading.com. You can go subscribe to our YouTube channel. That would be awesome. And in all my videos, I have a QR code or a Calendly. It's like a link below in the descriptions, which people can book um, to speak with someone directly at ITM, and they are all like super trained. It's not just a call center. Like you can actually have like deep dive conversations because all the analysts know what's happening, can talk through the interview with you if you have questions, if it went over your head. If you're like, Jim Rickard said this and I didn't get it, they can help you. And it's just a free information session. And then at the end of the day, if you choose to, buy, that's great. If not, well, you just walked away with a, boat full of knowledge. So I urge everyone to reach out to ITM. Like I said, tell them Daniela sent you. They'll take extra great care of you. And yeah, they're just a wonderful company. So reach out for your free knowledge session is what I call it.
I will link to that and put the relevant links into all the show notes as well. Daniela Cambone, thank you very much for your time. It's been an honor. I
Thank
look
you.
forward to
That's
catching
it
up next year.
so much. And good luck with your show, continued success. I have no doubt you will be you're just gonna blow up and it's gonna be fantastic. Thank you for all the work you do. Um, this has been wonderful. You're a great interviewer. Thank you.
Grazie mille.